A major earthquake has hit Japan, followed by a tsunami.
This is what's happening right as we speak. A large tsunami engulfing the port of Kamaishi in Iwate Prefecture.
Good evening. The 8.8 earthquake struck off Japan's northeastern coast a little more than an hour ago.
We want to show you more of these images. They are staggering. As you can see here, the tsunami swept ashore in Kamaishi City. The wave measured at least 13 feet high, and it carried boats and cars several blocks inland toward the city center.
Now, there is no word yet on any deaths or injuries, but it seems almost inconceivable that there will not be at some point as they assess the damage. Japanese officials have issued evacuation orders for the coastal areas.
A tsunami watch has been issued for several Pacific nations, including Taiwan, Russia, the Philippines, and Indonesia. Now, this watch also covers Hawaii and the U.S. territory of Guam.
Now, a large ship has rammed directly into a breakwater in Miyagi Prefecture. The quake rocked this TV newsroom in Sendai, that's in northern Japan. Look at what's happened here as everything sways and falls.
The shaking also forced officials to shut down Japan's famed bullet train system and Tokyo's subways so that they could be checked for damages. Now, keep in mind this hit in the middle of the afternoon. It is already Friday in Japan.
Fires broke out throughout Tokyo, 240 miles from the quake's epicenter. People streamed out of high-rises to seek safety in the streets.
Both of Tokyo's major airports, Narita and Haneda, closed their runways, and several nuclear power plants have been shut down as well.
The quake rattled Japan's parliament as legislators met in Tokyo. Several aftershocks followed the quake, including one measuring 7.4. That was an aftershock of that magnitude. 30 minutes after the quake, tall buildings were still swaying in Tokyo.
Now, joining us live is Dr. Robert Urhammer with UC Berkeley's Seismology Department. This is just a massive earthquake. Can you describe for us the power that an 8.8 quake carries?
Well, that's larger than anything we've seen here in California by quite a bit. Magnitude 8.8 ranks it in about the top dozen in the world in the last 100 years.
Dr. Urhammer, the earthquake in Indonesia, as I recall, was 9.0 a few years ago. As you said, this is one of the larger quakes we've had in recorded history in recent years, certainly. Give us a sense of how much stronger an earthquake is, just say from going 8.7 to 8.8, in terms of how much of an increase in magnitude.
Well, yeah, each time you go up a tenth of a magnitude unit, the ground amplitude goes up by about 30%, and the energy release almost doubles.
The energy almost doubles in just 1/10 of a point?
Yeah, almost, yeah.
Now, we understand that several quakes hit this same region. On Wednesday, there was a 7.3 magnitude quake in that area, so obviously very seismically active situation there, and we're probably expecting more aftershocks.
Yes, well, when you look at the trough off the east coast of Honshu, Japan, it's very active seismically in historical times. And they get magnitude 5s there a few times a year in any given square degree area. And the bigger earthquakes occur from time to time, like the one here. This is the largest one they've seen, though, in that area, at least the last century.
And go ahead.
And you're talking about, magnitude 7 occurring recently. The magnitude 7 could have been a foreshock of this much larger earthquake, and then obviously it's had aftershocks also at the magnitude 7 level in the last hour.
And we're looking at some just remarkable pictures of the power of this earthquake and the tsunami that it generated as water rushes over coastal areas, taking cars and even in some instances, we understand, a building and large ships in its debris and in its wake. Dr. Urhammer, a lot of people will wonder here, we live in such a seismically active area. Does something happening so far away off coastal Japan potentially affect us here? Could it shift plates around and ultimately trigger something in our area?
Well, ultimately, all the tectonic plates are interconnected, but we can't show that earthquake A in one area affects the seismicity in another area, like off the coast of California directly. But in the long term, they are all interconnected to some degree.
We know that there's a tsunami warning in effect right now as far away as Hawaii. How long will that likely stay in place? When do we know if that's going to be a concern for those in Hawaii?
Well, it takes about 1 day for the seismic wave to propagate across the Pacific Ocean from Japan to California. And when it hits Hawaii, they will see what the size of it is, and then they'll be able to also gauge how big it might be when it comes across the coast of North America.
So it could be many hours yet before we know whether a tsunami will actually strike the Hawaii area.
Yes. Out in the open ocean, a tsunami wave travels at about 600 miles an hour. So it takes quite a few hours to go across the Pacific.
All right, well, Dr. Robert Urharmer with the UC Berkeley Seismology Department, thank you so much for coming on with us and giving us a little more insight into what happened in Japan. We appreciate it.
We want to check in now with meteorologist Sandhya Patel with more on the tsunami warnings that we've been talking about. Sandhya.
Well, Carolyn, Dan, as you look at this graphic here, you will see that there has been numerous activity here, numerous earthquakes that have been reported here. The largest, of course, 8.9 at 9:46 p.m. There has been another earthquake on the moment scale, 6.4 at 10:06. This has generated a tsunami warning for Russia, Japan. This is sent out by the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center. The Pacific Tsunami Warning Center is saying that Japan, Russia, and Guam and Taiwan are under that warning. Now, the tsunami watch is in effect for the Philippines, Indonesia. Also, we're looking at Hawaii that was just issued. They're saying that they have taken a look at sea level readings and a tsunami may have been generated. As far as how big it is and whether it'll reach, that's still unclear. Once again, sea level readings indicate a tsunami was generated. Watch issued for Hawaii. There are no watches and warnings for California or the West Coast.
Okay, Sandy, thanks very much.